Querying theology and philosophy here, and today we are on the Hebrew word of the week as we listen to ancient music from Mesopotamia. Beautiful drums that remind us of the times of old. Beautiful. And today, the Hebrew word of the week is Mazzalah. And Mazzalah means planets. And it only appears in the Bible one time. And Mazzalah is a feminine noun in the sense of reigning. It comes from the other word for reigning. And it says here, in the sense of reigning, a constellation that is a zodiacal sign, perhaps as affecting the weather, a planet. And we can see what it is, constellation, because even in Hebrew, the constellations are called Mazzalah. And this is what it says here. In Jacinius' Hebrew Chaldee lexicon, it means lodging places or inns, a sea of the sun. The Hebrews gave this name to the 12 signs of the zodiac, called in Arab the circle of palaces. These were imagined to be the lodging places of the sun during the 12 months, and they rendered them to be a superstitious worship. 2 Kings 23 verse 5. The rabbins, those are the teachers and the masters, called these in the cities of Judah and in the places round about Jerusalem. Them also that burned incense unto Baal, to the sun, and to the moon, and to the Mazzalah, the planets, and to all the host of heaven. So what do we get from this? Israel was very polytheistic, even despite having a monotheistic law, or a law that was to worship Yahweh. And they worshipped all the host of heaven, the galaxies, everything they could see in the night sky. Have you noticed something? That you can only worship planets and the host of heaven at night, because it's at night and the planets. And remember, this story was based on what happened around 1800 BC or 1500 BC. So what does that tell you? That over 5,000 years ago, or rather, because we're in 2018, so you add 2018 plus 1,500, so 3,500 years ago, people knew what a planet was, and they called them Mazzalah. They knew the zodiac, they knew the moon and the sun, but they didn't know it as well as we know it today through NASA. NASA and the ESA, the European Space Agency, and now the Chinese also have their space agency, and the Indians are also getting their space agency. They are all showing us the beautiful and a clearer picture of the planets and the stars. We now know them. In the past, these people only knew Saturn, but they didn't know why there were rings around Saturn. Do you know why there are rings around Saturn and what makes up those rings? The Jupiter and Venus, and they never knew the gases that were on those planets. But today, we know the gases that are on those planets. We know what composes the rings around Saturn. We know the rings that are around Jupiter. Beautiful rings. And we can give reasons as to why Earth has no rings, but Saturn and Jupiter have them. We know what the sun is made of because we have advanced in science. But what you got to understand is these planets used to be worshipped in ancient Israel. And of course, because the Israeli law at that time was against polytheism and idolatry, which is basically worship of many gods, the king had a right to punish or to criminalize idol worship and polytheism. And that's what he did there. But as I've told you, even if they did this, the fact is human nature loves to worship many things. And it's very hard for someone to be a monotheist. It's very, very hard. They are, of course, Islam, they're monotheistic. And even Judaism, and also a bit of Christianity. Some Christianities are monotheistic, but it doesn't mean, in a real sense, nobody's monotheistic, because we worship money, we worship our jobs, we worship our families, we worship things, we worship heroes, we worship leaders, we worship our partners, and all of these things. People worship very many things, and then they come back and on a day of worship they say they worship one God, when it's not true. They worship very many things. It's just that they express the worship differently. So anyway, our focus was on the word planets and not worship. And you've got to know, it's the only word planets has appeared in this scripture, and it's called Mazzalah in Hebrew. Thank you for joining us today. Enjoy as we study more from the word, from the religious scriptures of the world. That includes the Bible, the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, and the writings of Buddha, and every other writing, religious writing and philosophical writing that can be found in the world.